Welcome back to The Big Picture. It is Tuesday morning. We are approaching 9 a.m. and look who has returned. Collin, Dorsey. And I'm Bryn, Caswell. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're excited to get into it. We have a lot of people booked today. We're booked and busy, Collin.
Busy day. So you don't have to listen to us yap that much.
Yes, no, you can hear other people.
Other people talk.
Yes. So let's get to the headline. So we have Battelle coming in talking about millions of dollars worth of grants that they have awarded students within STEM. And we're going to talk to them about how this helps the Columbus job pipeline. We're also getting into the Haitian temporary protected status decision by the Supreme Court, which should be coming down in the next hour or so. We have Pastor Carl Ruby joining us to talk about how this could impact the large Haitian population, which resides in Springfield, Ohio. We're talking about 12 to 15,000 immigrants. The Whitehall recall election. We've talked about this a lot as well, but that election is happening right now. So we'll get into that as well. And then we have the Columbus Library coming on to talk about their summer reading events that are happening this week. So a lot of guests to get into. It's going to be a lot of fun. But Collin, I first want to ask you how your weekend went.
It was good. It was good. Busy. That is why I was off yesterday. I was like, I'm just going to take a day to nap.
Yes. How you feeling getting back into the swing when that alarm clock went off?
Oh, it was rough. It was a rough wake-up call. But I think I just napped like all day yesterday. And even when I go to bed at 7, I was still just like done.
I was like you yesterday. I took a long nap.
Uh-oh.
I know. And it messed up my sleep schedule.
You usually don't do that.
I just can't nap. That's what I've learned. I cannot nap.
Yeah, I have to like set my nap at like an hour. Otherwise, I will not sleep at night.
Yeah.
But it was good. And I think what got me was sitting out at the softball game on Sunday. Like I sat at it for like 4 hours.
And you're in the
Sunday.
sun.
Yeah. I mean, we had those like little easy up tents, but it was still like you're out in the sun pretty much all day.
Yeah, no.
So I was just zapped come Monday.
The sun will kill you.
Yeah, but
okay,
all right.
Good.
So there's some new information
You're
coming
going to ask
out.
about mine?
Oh, yeah. Well,
no,
it's
okay.
Tuesday,
Past
I guess.
the point.
Yeah,
but you're just now getting here. It's your Monday.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. So let's talk about, this is the news of the day that I had to cover on 10 TV this morning. We're talking about the 19-year-old Tyson Proper, who was arrested and charged in connection to an alleged plot to attack the White House Freedom 250 UFC event, which was a couple weeks ago for Donald Trump's 80th birthday. His mother, this 19-year-old's mother, is the person responsible for basically tipping off Knox County investigators, which then tipped off the FBI about this alleged attack with this online group of people. And we have gotten the 911 calls now. We also got the officer worn camera when they went to his house to figure out what was going on and what his plans were. Let's take a listen to this 911 call.
We just took all of his guns and ammo out of his room and got it out off our property. He just came inside and he's probably going to discover it's not in his room.
What's going on though? Is he suicidal?
We don't even know what he's wanting to do. He's wanting to leave this weekend and go with a group of people to help fight the corrupt government.
So we know, according to court records, that he had purchased 2 assault-style rifles, multiple rounds of ammunition, and was talking with a group of people on the app called Signal, planning this meetup in what he was saying to investigators, West Virginia, but eventually they were going to go to Washington, D.C. for that UFC Freedom event. And having said all this, the parents, red flags were raised. They were like, this is really odd behavior that our child who's spending his graduation money on guns, that's out of his behavior. And that's when they called the Knox County Sheriff's Office. And I'm going to play the body camera video. This is just a part of it. It was a long interaction that deputies had with him. But they asked him, what were your plans? They had a search warrant to go through his phone, and that helped them ask the proper questions.
Then why do you need so many bullets and guns?
What did he say?
He said you can never have enough.
So we're just making sure you don't want to go, confront these people and, harm these people. That's not your intent. Is that your intent? No. You're just upset with them, and rightfully so.
Yep.
Where'd you guys plan on meeting up?
West Virginia.
West Virginia?
All the mountains and stuff.
Yep, and then there's the video of deputies escorting him into custody. So he is charged with multiple federal charges in relation to this. We know this morning 2 others were arrested. So there's a total of 5 people that have been arrested in connection to this alleged plot to attack government officials and people at that UFC event. But again, it's just everything has a connection back to Ohio. I mean, it's crazy that this was happening in our backyard, and just this online rhetoric cycle that can happen.
Right. And then just I guess it was Sunday, that we had those 2 latest arrests come out of Missouri and Washington State. So
it was all across the nation.
It was across the country. Yeah, across the nation. So one was William Faulkner out of Belfair, Washington. He was, I guess, arrested Friday and has been charged with conspiracy to commit murder. These were, according to court documents, both filed in federal court. So both of these 2 latest arrests appeared in federal court on Monday. Now, 28-year-old Jordan Rinker was also arrested. He is out of Missouri somewhere. So what? This brings us now to 9 total arrests, because we had the original 5.
And then I think it's under 7.
Yeah.
So I think there's more people out there too. The FBI was talking about.
Right. I know
there's a large group.
It's turning into a much larger plot than I think had originally been kind of released. So I've got a, kind of looking here, according to NPR, that it was the group that, I guess was kind of behind this, has some is really driven by some fringe conspiracy theories. And I know we talked about this during Proper's arrest, that a lot of this is coming from different online circles about where these people are
started on TikTok.
Engaging, whether TikTok,
according
Instagram. Interesting. I guess I didn't realize it kind of gained
and then it branched
TikTok.
off into that Signal group.
Yeah.
And where it's encrypted, so they were hoping that no one would probably see what they're talking about,
Yeah. So I mean, it is, the internet does provide all sorts of different avenues for these groups to continue to grow and build and find commonality, and then obviously start to try to execute things like this. So something we continue to follow today. But the other thing that tends to circulate around online more and more are scams,
right? And
especially
we know,
those targeting elders.
Yeah, and we know June is Elder Abuse Awareness Month, and we cannot hit this topic enough because we know it affects so many Ohioans on a yearly basis. And happening tomorrow, JP Morgan Chase, they are putting on a community event, basically a workshop for older people in Central Ohio to learn all about the potential risks out there when it comes to elder abuse and getting scammed, because really they go hand in hand at this point. So joining us right now, we have Marlon Platt. He's the community manager at JP Morgan. Hi there. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So we're talking about, AI now can do a number of things. We're talking about cloning voices, sounding like loved ones, sending messages via text that even sound real. Talk to us more about this workshop that's being hosted tomorrow and what you hope that the people attending take away from it.
So tomorrow's workshop is going to cover a variety of things around avoiding fraud and scams and really protecting yourself as well as your family. What we're hoping to do is to empower and educate the community. We don't want people living in fear. Fraud and scams are happening, but we want people to be educated and be able to identify things that may tip them off or be a red flag as to what can be a fraud and scam and what to do if they notice a fraud or scam or if they are a victim of a fraud and scam.
And what are some of the biggest red flags that family members need to communicate with their loved ones about?
Trying to be persuaded by urgency. So anytime somebody is trying to speed you up, to have you give information, whether it's through fear, maybe they're pretending that somebody is arrested and you need to get them out of jail, or if there's been an accident, or pretending that there is a prize, pretending that you've won something. And a lot of times if those things sound too good to be true, they probably are. So what we encourage people to do is to really just slow down, take your time before giving out any personal information, and also be mindful of any kind of request for sending specific money. And so whether it's through gift cards, whether it's through wires, whether it's through crypto, any kind of specific money request, you definitely want to be mindful of.
And time again, we hear from, for the people who do come forward that a lot of times they're embarrassed to admit that they fell for this because it's a personal thing, right? A lot of people end up, losing money or resources somehow over this. When it comes to that embarrassment factor and to that it's important to come forward and say, hey, this happened. What do those conversations look like when it comes to talking with family members about this?
Well, the first thing is to make sure that they know that they are a victim of a fraud and scam, that it's nothing to be embarrassed about. Unfortunately, those numbers continue to go up year over year. But the only way we can try to counteract it is to, one, come forward, two, to express exactly what happened, and then report it to the proper authorities, and also to let friends and family know what things are going on so they can start to be on the lookout as well. And so we always talk about the power of reporting, bringing that information to the authorities, or if you have any kind of questions, to go ahead and come into the bank. But the first step is really coming forward if something should happen and being okay in that and not feeling like, you're a bad person or, because really you're being taken advantage of and it's not your fault.
So Chase is encouraging people to have a trusted contact person. What is this exactly? How does it work? And why can it be such an important tool in preventing this type of problem?
So really it's somebody who would be just a general contact if there's any kind of unusual activity on the account. Or if you have elders and maybe you're a care provider, something's going on with their account, that's somebody that can be contacted to verify that information and assist that elder or assist that person that they're supporting. And so it just really creates a trusted system so that if there is something that comes up, there can be an open line of communication for a family member or a confidant in the institution, whether it be the bank or the authorities, to help identify any kind of financial exploitation or schemes of any kind.
All right. Marlon Platt with JP Morgan Chase. Thank you so much for joining us here on The Big Picture. Once again, this Elder Scam Workshop previewing event, or this Elder Scam Workshop event is coming up June 24th from noon to 1 at Chase Bank there on New Albany Road in New Albany. So great way to learn about some of the things that are out there because they've gotten so much more advanced. We've talked about this time and time again that scams are not, the Egyptian prince scams that used to go around the email. They've gotten so much more tricky in
cloning
voices. And I mean, we know that someone was scammed by somebody, Yolanda talked about this. Somebody cloned her and scammed somebody out of money.
That's crazy. But it's happening.
It is. But all right. So coming up next, we are being joined by Battelle after the break to talk about STEM grants for Columbus organizations and how the community is receiving them. We'll be right back. Big Picture 913 on your Tuesday. Right now we are joined by Leslie Vesha, the philanthropy manager over at Battelle. Leslie, thanks so much for coming in.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So today we're talking about how Battelle has now invested nearly $9 million in grants for STEM programs and organizations around Columbus. First, I want to just ask simply for our viewers, what does Battelle do and why is it important that you guys continue to give back in this way?
Yeah, Battelle is the world's largest research and development nonprofit. So in context where I say to my kids, we solve really hard problems. We are innovative. We also manage Department of Energy labs. So we're really in this space of research and development, and innovation is the through line that helps us put that into the community through these STEM grants. We were founded by our founder, Gordon Battelle, who drove us to think about innovation through the lens of education. And so that is what sparks this philanthropy that we bring to the communities and areas where our employees work and live, particularly here in Central Ohio, where we are headquartered.
How is Battelle specifically finding the skills that students need to know now, especially in a world that's, AI is taking over?
Yeah, so we lean on our experts. We are not the experts on what the kids need at this moment, but our educators on the ground are. And so that's what this program is doing. We invite local nonprofits here in Central Ohio to tell us about their ideas of ways that they can reach kids where they are today. Whether that's through AI, whether that's through mentoring or career-connected learning, we invite those organizations to tell us what ideas they have that are new to them and they think will really be scalable for future investments.
So how many of these grants are targeting kids in this area that may not have as much access to STEM programming?
Yeah, this program in particular is for that informal piece, so outside of classroom learning. We both are good in classroom and out of classroom, but this particular program is funding those opportunities that happen outside of the classroom. And we ask the community, where are those kids in the summer? Where are they on breaks? How can we reach them outside of school? And so that's what we lean on those partners to tell
And
us.
how much of a priority is it that Battelle reaches underserved communities?
I think it's a big priority for us. That's where we are headquartered here in Columbus. I think we always think about being a good neighbor and wanting to serve students who need the access that they may not otherwise get in their classrooms.
And I guess when it comes to, how do I want to put that? We've seen this huge growth in Central Ohio in terms of the different fields. We've seen this boost in healthcare. I mean, every hospital system in Central Ohio has been expanding. I mean, we've watched this massive renovation over at Riverside for months. You guys are right there as well, in the OSU Tower built right in your backyard. With that, we've also got various defense contractors building. We talk about Anduril all the time. How do these grant-funded programs help these students find jobs in these growing fields?
Yeah, so we asked our nonprofits this year to tell us about programs specifically connected to either AI or career-connected jobs. So how do we introduce those workforce, so that new booming workforce here that's happening all around us, to programs that they could experience, through this funding. And so it's introducing them to either mentors who can come in and talk to them and show them what those jobs look like, or we're teaching them through a virtual experience. The zoo has one in particular that does virtual vet tech, so they can put on a pair of VR goggles and really experience what that looks like. So there's a lot of different ways that we are asking our partners to show kids what they can do.
How important is it for Battelle to hire students from Central Ohio, from the state of Ohio in general, and continuing that pipeline?
Well, it would be great if these students came back and eventually came to work for Battelle, but that's not our goal. We really just want these kids to see themselves as innovators and problem solvers in whatever community they end up in.
Okay. All righty. Well, Leslie, thank you so much for coming in
Yeah,
today.
of
Anything
course.
else you'd like to share?
No, I think I'll just, point folks to battelle.org if they want to learn more about the programs. There are some that may have some open spots available, so please research or look for those organizations and any other learning opportunities.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, coming up next, we have Pastor Carl Ruby joining us. He's with the Christian Coalition of Springfield, joining us to talk to us about the Haitian protected status and that decision that's coming out from the Supreme Court in the next 40 minutes or so. So we'll be right back in 2 minutes.
back
to the big picture. It's 9:22. I'm Bryn.
And I'm Collin.
Yeah, so we are talking about a Supreme Court decision that could come down this week. We know there's an announcement being made in the next 40 minutes. The details of that announcement, we do not know just yet. But we know this could be surrounding President Trump's decision to revoke the temporary protected status for Haitian and other affected migrants. Now, why are we talking about this? Well, there are 12 to 15,000 Haitian immigrants living in Springfield, Ohio currently. Springfield, for those who may not know, it is right in between Columbus and Cincinnati. It's right there in the middle. So
the other thing,
this is a big deal for a lot of those people who have been living here for years.
Right. And besides Springfield having a large Haitian population, so does the city of Columbus. Now, temporary protected status, it's always been kind of something it's been there for folks from countries who are dealing with political uncertainty, unrest, which Haiti has dealt with for years, especially after that major earthquake from a number of years ago. However, temporary protected status, it's been around since the Immigration Act of 1990. And it's been there. It really kind of serves as a work permit for these individuals as well. And we've heard time and time again after Springfield really got thrust into the spotlight that the Haitian community really helped provide a workforce for a city that did not have it at the time.
Because I used to cover Springfield when I worked in Dayton, and that town has seen a lot of influx and decline in industry in general. So Governor DeWine has even stated publicly that he believes that the Haitian workforce has really helped that city over the last couple of years.
Right.
But I want us to bring in right now Pastor Carl Ruby with G92. On their website, it says, quote, their mission is mobilizing churches, community leaders, and neighbors to protect families, advocate for justice, and stand in solidarity with our Haitian community. So talk to us just simply. How important is the Haitian community in Springfield, and why are you putting so much effort to keep them here?
Well, they're incredibly important. And I think one piece of evidence of that is you look at Springfield's history. Back in 2012, we were rated as the saddest city in the USA. And just last week, we were rated as one of the top 5 cities in the state of Ohio in terms of quality of life and affordability. And that took place during this time frame when so many Haitians have come to become residents in our city, and they're really fueling an economic recovery, a housing recovery. It's been just amazing to have them in our community. They've not only revitalized our businesses, they're revitalizing churches. A majority of people who have joined my church in the last year are all Haitian families. And I love the joy and the faith and the vigor that they bring. It's been a joy to advocate for them here in Springfield.
And now that we've been in this, I guess, kind of limbo of waiting for this decision, what has the morale been like? What have been some of the conversations that you're hearing from your congregants there at Central Christian about what could happen in this decision?
It's interesting. There are 2 extremes. One extreme is there is a lot of fear in the community right now. And it's based on what they have been through back in Haiti. I talked to a child in my church this morning who was sharing memories of Haiti. And he was talking about seeing wild hogs eating bodies of people who had been killed by the gangs. This is a young man who survived a kidnapping attempt and was talking about hiding in a school. These are very real experiences that people in Springfield have had. And I would say that the vast majority of people in Springfield from Haiti have been traumatized in one way or another. And it's unconscionable to me that as Americans, we would send people back to Haiti knowing that the conditions are worse now than they were when TPS was initially granted. And I think it's extremely relevant, the dig motion that came out last week, where they provided evidence that when the Homeland Security first contacted the State Department advised them to extend TPS and said it's not safe to send people back to Haiti.
Yeah, so I would like to ask you, I mean, when people are here, these Haitian immigrants, they're here on TPS with work visas. Governor DeWine has publicly said that their work is improving the economy. How would Springfield, Ohio specifically be impacted if we're talking about 12 to 15,000 people having to return back to their country? And also, what would that even look like? How would that physically be done?
Well, if they rule in favor of the president and allow TPS to end, they would all be subject to deportation immediately and lose their work permits immediately. So if that decision comes down at 10 o'clock today, we could face a massive wave of unemployment. And we would have a food crisis. We would have a housing crisis. We would have a homelessness crisis. All of that would happen, and it's all completely unnecessary. And nonprofits are doing the best that they can. Churches are doing the best that they can, but none of us are equipped to care for the needs of over 10,000 people who would suddenly become unemployed.
And
It'd be awful. President DeWine called it, or Governor DeWine called it it said it would be an economic and humanitarian nightmare. And that's the truth.
And the logistics, and if you don't know the answer to this, that's okay. Obviously, when we're talking tens of thousands, 10,000 people suddenly becoming unemployed, if they're ordered back home, how do they get there? Are they also then responsible for their own transportation back? What happens?
That is a great question. And I think what the administration is really doing is they're relying on fear and self-deportation. What they're really hoping is that life will become so miserable for Haitians that they will leave on their own. So that the cost of detaining and deporting a person is incredibly high. So, and by the way, I've had ICE officials tell me this straight to my face, that their plan is to make life as miserable as possible in hopes that people will leave on their own.
All right, Dr. Carl Ruby, we appreciate you joining us here on The Big Picture, talking about that. Obviously, we
will keep following that
and anticipating
thank you.
that update coming down from the Supreme Court sometime this week, could be as soon as today, on temporary protected status. So coming up next, we are joined by Dr. Brianna Mack with Ohio Wesleyan University. We are talking about the Whitehall recall vote, something we have talked about ad nauseum on this program. So we're talking about the potential for the mayor and 2 council members losing their elected positions. That is something that the people of Whitehall are deciding on. Polls are open today, so she joins us next.
Welcome back to The Big Picture. It's 9:32. We're switching gears a little bit. We have joining us right now Ben Ayers. You are with Nationwide Financial, and we're talking about the impacts of war and the housing market and all of that. What are you seeing locally here in Central Ohio when it comes to what we've been seeing overseas and the impacts of the housing market?
Sure. I mean, obviously, the main impact you see is what you see at the pump. And, the prices went up a lot this spring. Unfortunately, with the temporary interim deal here and some improvement on the supply chains across the board, we're seeing those prices start to come down. But still, by and large, what we're hearing from a lot of folks is this financial pressure.
Right.
Higher cost for things, higher cost for gas, higher cost for everything you buy at the store. And it's just continuing to put a little more pressure on people's balance sheets.
Now, in May, the housing market fell a little bit for the first time. What contributed to that, do you think?
I think of the hang up from earlier in the year. Really, the housing market in general, if you just look beyond the May numbers, remains in a pretty stagnant position. We're not seeing a lot of improvement. Those higher mortgage rates, as we've seen those pick up over the past couple months, weighing on affordability issues for many. That's the key hot button topic for folks, is just being able to afford a home, be able to afford those monthly payments. And with those mortgage rates coming up in recent months, just continues to add pressure on that front. And a lot of people said, maybe this is not the right time to buy a house. Maybe I'll wait till later in the year to see if those rates start to come down. And so kind of people pulled back this spring.
Right, because this morning I know we were talking about like the median home price right now is right around $429,000 across the country. And for a lot of people, that's a lot to save up for if you're trying to make that 20% down payment.
Right.
You're talking a lot of money that you have to have put back in order to make that. For some people, that's just not achievable. When it comes to people still trying to enter that home market, there are some options out there, but $429,000 is unaffordable for a lot.
Yeah, it's a big number, and that's just the national number. Obviously, here locally, we're pretty close to that. Fortunately, we have a relatively, more price available market than other areas. The other areas, it's $1 million is your number that you're trying to get to. And you look back at it, I just think about I bought my house 10 years ago, and my mortgage payment would probably be about $1,000 more per month than what it is right now, because the prices have gone up so much in the past 10 years, and obviously the rates are much higher than where they were at that point. And again, that's just a lot. That's a big burden for people to try to bite off.
Right. When I bought my house, my mortgage was $820 a month, and my parents thought that was insane.
Right.
Because of they bought their house in 94, I bought mine in 2020, and now looking for since I moved, a mortgage here is almost $2,000 or more, and to me that seems wild. And those are the things that is just the new reality.
Sure.
Is there do you anticipate mortgage rates changing at all? I mean, obviously that's a big factor in what you pay per month, but
not much in the near term, unfortunately. You look at broader things like what is the Federal Reserve doing. We've heard from them just recently, they're probably not going to make any moves anytime soon. And I think that's just indicative of the broader interest rate environment, that we're not going to see much change over the rest of the year. I think we will see mortgage rates go down a little bit next year, maybe get down below 6%, maybe even get down to 5.5%. by the end of next year. But I keep telling people, if you're waiting for that 3%, 3.5% mortgage, you're going to be waiting a long time, unfortunately, because I think that was a relative aberration. I think something more like 5 to 6% might be the long-term average here.
And I know when you were just talking about how people maybe pulled back on purchasing their home for later, what are you seeing when it comes to building? Because I know in Central Ohio, the median is around 400,000, right? Is that what we just said?
Yeah.
Around 400,000.
429.
429. Other places, though, it's about $1 million.
Right.
And in my brain, I'm like, well, shoot, I could build a house for $1 million if I'm going to be buying a place for $1 million. So what does it look like? Are people falling back on building? Is that why they're kind of pulling back and holding off, choosing to take that route instead of just purchasing a home?
Building has been, I would say, solid, but not great. We've seen building has picked up and gone up and down over the past couple years. The problem is there's a lot of cost for builders. You think about all the supply chain increases, all the pressures that we're facing for lumber prices, metal prices, et cetera, tariffs flowing in there as well. That's a lot of extra cost for builders, and they need to see the market picking up, and they're probably not going to do that until they see mortgage rates come down as well. And so really the building environment has been kind of stuck in a lower level as well. I will say the Senate just passed a new bill last night around housing construction, the 21st Century Road to Housing Act. See if that gets through the House and it gets ultimately signed this year, but that could be a little bit of a boost for construction in the next couple of years. And a big emphasis there is just providing more affordable housing and getting more options out there for buyers. And I think this could help move in that direction.
All right, Ben Ayers with Nationwide Financial. Thanks so much for coming in, talking about some of those important financial factors that affect everybody's everyday life. All right, coming up next, we are joined by Dr. Brianna Mack with the Ohio Wesleyan University, talking about that Whitehall recall election that's going on right now.
Yep.
Back to the big picture, 9:40 on your Tuesday. So going on right now is the special recall election in Whitehall that targets Mayor Michael Bivens along with Councilwomen Amy Harkar and Lori Elmore. This is a citizen-led effort by a small group in Whitehall called Whitehall for All, mainly talking about they're accusing city leadership of mismanaging city finances, and there's some arguments regarding the police department involved. We do have new voting number or early voting numbers in right now from the Board of Elections. As of right now, so polls have been open since 6:30 this morning. There have been 192 early votes cast. 123 absent or 105 absentee mail ballots have been turned in so far.
So I did the math, Collin.
Yeah.
Because there's 11,134
It's not
voters
many.
registered in Whitehall. It's about under 3% of registered voters in the city turning out for this recall election. We're talking about three people's jobs on the line. I mean, the mayor and two council members. I mean, they could lose their seats over this because people are not turning out to vote. And granted, it's only almost 10 in the morning. There's still a lot of time.
7:30
But
this evening.
not a lot of people showing out to vote for this. And we've been talking about this for weeks.
Right. And with
So
that
how much
being
do they
said,
care?
And a recall election isn't that common. And,
No, it's rare.
And that is why we do bring in Dr. Brianna Mack with the Ohio Wesleyan University. Dr. Mack, thanks so much for joining us today talking about this. When it comes to recall elections, it's a unique process and one that isn't used that often. Some of your background involves political behavior, political psychology. When it goes into the rarity of these, the driving factor that you see in a lot of this in some of your research, when does it get to that point that people start talking, we're going to make this kind of serious move?
Well, so I would argue, I did some research for Whitehall, and it's not that rare. I learned there was a recall election for one of the former council members back in 2009, so back when I was an undergrad. But it usually reaches the point of recall when there are enough disgruntled people And in particular, there are enough disgruntled, educated people who decide to blow the dust off of the government's charter documents and things of that sort. And they find out that there is actually a pathway to try and remove the elected officials that are, the source of frustration for these citizens.
And we know the numbers just under 3% as of almost 9:45 this morning of registered voters in Whitehall have casted their vote on this recall election. What is the percentage of voter turnout typically for recall elections like this?
Oh my goodness. You are lucky if you get anything more than 10 to 20%. It also depends on exactly when this recall election or this special election happens. So I would argue in a case like this, we're talking about 11,000 registered voters. It's, Whitehall is just like right around the corner from me here in Gahanna, but I didn't realize it was that tiny. But when we're talking about that small, kudos to those 100 and change that voted early, right, or absentee. In a case like this, we would be lucky if we see 1,000. So if we get 10% of the vote, that would be very interesting and very amazing for a recall election.
So would you say population trends play into a result of a lot of these recall elections?
I don't think it's population trends. I think it's more so mobilization. So you are asking folks to turn out and vote in the middle of summer. And right. when most people know, oh, well, elections usually happen in the fall. And in particular, in this case, didn't we just have elections last year before last, right? So already, local government elections are slightly off cycle with the state and federal. And so this is also an additional hurdle for mobilized voters. However, I will say the challenge is ultimately for the mayor and the councilwomen's supporters, because these individuals, already voted them in, and they have to convince those individuals to turn out and keep them in. While Whitehall for all they have to do, well, their biggest challenge was just getting past the humps related to the petitions. And now that they've gotten past that, they're almost home clear.
And this has not been a cheap endeavor. I mean, obviously, this is the election process is funded by the taxpayers at a cost of somewhere, at least earlier we were reporting about $40,000. If in the event that all three are ousted from their seats, this has to go to another election, correct? Or will this go to an appointment? I don't know if you have the answer to that, though.
That's a really great question. So I was looking to see when was the last successful recall election in Whitehall, and I couldn't readily find that information. Traditionally, if there is like a second in command leading or existing in the Whitehall City Council or within the mayor's office, if the mayor loses this election today, that number 2 person would serve until they find a replacement.
Okay.
But I'm also basing this answer on what I noticed happened in other states.
Right. And I mean, you mentioned earlier that Whitehall kind of has this little provision written in the city charter. Is that something that, looking at other communities as well, is that something that is in pretty much everybody's, that is required, whether that be by the state constitution, or is this just something that kind of rather unique to Whitehall, that is living in there as something that we pulled out at any time?
I don't think it's unique to Whitehall. Based on my research, it's a provision within the Ohio State Constitution that for mayors and stuff, that if citizens are disgruntled, that you can go through the process to do a recall. In fact, there was an attempt to try and do a recall for Governor DeWine many moons ago. Well, it wasn't that many moons ago, but during the pandemic, when there were a number of individuals who were frustrated with his COVID response.
All right, Dr. Brianna Mack with Ohio Wesleyan University. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
I like how she said it's about mobilization. It's happening at a very odd time in the year.
It is. Special elections are difficult to get people to come out.
It matters in a lot of these. So, all right. Well, coming up just after the break, we are joined by the Columbus Metropolitan Library. We are talking about Summer Slide and their summer reading events happening this week. So we'll be right back. Welcome back to The Big Picture. Joining us right now, we have Kayla Ladd. You are the Youth Services Manager at the Columbus Metropolitan Library. Thank you for coming on today.
Thanks so much for having us.
Okay, so we're talking about Summer Slide.
Yes.
What is this?
Okay, so learning to read is just like learning a language, right? If you don't use it, you lose it. And unfortunately, a lot of our kids in Columbus, they work so hard all school year to get those reading skills up, and then they lose it when they don't have access to books.
And so you guys have a very special 9-week program that you do with
do.
people of all ages.
All ages.
When I was little here in Columbus, I participated in this. I would come into the library and get my stickers on like my book. Talk to us about this summer reading event. You have events happening this week and all the prizes people can win and just everything you have planned for this.
Absolutely. So the Summer Reading Challenge is our signature event for all ages. You're going to earn prizes just for reading books that you enjoy. Every 5 days, we give you a little motivation, a little treasure box prize to keep you going. And of course, we give kids and adults a free book after 25 days, plus programs to keep you engaged and having fun all summer long.
And in order to participate, you do have to have a library
You
card.
do.
But one thing that is great about the library is that it is one of the few things left in this world that is free, that it does not cost you anything to sign up. So for folks who don't have a Columbus Metropolitan Library card, where do they go? How do you go about getting
It is
one?
so easy. Just come into your nearest branch. There's going to be one 10 minutes away from you right next door. Bring in an ID and we'll get you settled.
And the great thing about the Columbus metro area, for example, the Grandview Heights Public Library operates on its own. Worthington does as well, but everybody's connected.
Absolutely.
That your cards work at all of these different libraries.
We make it as easy as can be. Just come on in.
Are you guys providing any free lunches at all for kids that come in? Can you talk to us about that?
We have free breakfasts and free lunches, and you can find a time near you at columbuslibrary.org/events.
And how long has this summer reading program been going on for? I mean, I'm not going to give my age away, but it's been going on a while, but older than me.
Unbelievably, it's our 90th anniversary this year. It never gets
Wow.
old.
That's amazing. It helps so many kids. What is your favorite part about seeing people of all ages really coming in to get their library books and participate in this?
Yeah, I'll share a recent story. 'Cause I think that captured it the best. So we have a new neighbor on the west side. That's where I work in the Hilltop. His name is E, and he is 11 years old. He has never been to the library until this summer. He walks every day. He signed up for the Summer Reading Challenge for the first time. And after he says, Miss Kayla, this is going to be the best summer ever. And I say, yeah, why? He said, I'm going to read. I'm going to become an entrepreneur. I'm going to hang out with friends, and I'm going to play on the computer. And I said, yeah, we can help with all of that. And he has been true to his word. He's been here every single day. He logs his reading right when he comes in. He's got his 10-day prize the other day, and he picked out a journal. And he's been writing an affirmation every single day for himself to keep reading, but also to keep growing and learning. And he says, my mom is going to be so happy. I bet she is.
Oh my gosh, that's
awesome.
amazing.
And, that it helps highlight the importance of having these branches in some of our underserved communities, the newer branches at that, because you look at the Hilltop facility and it's a lovely facility. The Driving Park branch is fairly new, as is the Linden one that's currently under construction, but
recently opened.
It recently
Brand new
opened. Okay. Yeah. And because you look at the old Driving Park branch that was kind of crammed into a little building and it wasn't ideal. But now these new facilities that it's creating a really equitable approach to libraries in Columbus.
It's like a community center in a way, it's a safe place for children to go.
Yeah, they are
like
21st century libraries for our community. How special to invest.
Right. And I know so many people who've used the because Columbus libraries have like study rooms and, just spaces that you can book for free to, just get away if you need to get out to take some quiet time to finish your work or whatever. It's fantastic for that.
Yeah, we are for all ages, and even the Summer Reading Challenge is for adults too. We have prizes this year, raffle prizes, that I think are really going to excite our adults. We have date night passes for Cosi After Dark as a raffle prize, or cocktails at the conservatory. There is something free and fun for every single age.
And all it takes is 15 minutes a day,
yeah,
right?
That's it. Even listen to a book on the car ride. Yeah.
I love listening to
And
books.
you know
That's
what?
like my favorite.
And they also have movies and TV shows. If you don't want to pay for the streaming services, it's all there. That's great.
Wonderful. So it ends July 31st.
That's right.
Okay.
You can sign up till then. We're
All
ready
right.
for you.
I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming in,
Thank
Kayla.
you so much.
All right, we're back to wrap it all up in just a couple minutes. Picture on your Tuesday. Almost said it was Friday.
It is not Friday. We're nowhere close. But yeah, it's Tuesday. The weather should be pretty nice today. I mean, it was a gloomy, nasty day yesterday, but
it was perfect sleeping weather.
Yeah. Collin, like I said, I took a nap because, the rain is just in the background. But I have my coffee today because I needed an extra wake-up call. But have you heard about the Bear Barista Cup at Starbucks?
I think I did. I heard of them talking about, I think on NPR or something one morning.
I mean, it sold, when they first came out with it, I would say maybe a year ago now, I'm not sure. But I mean, people were lining up outside of Starbucks trying to get it, like lines of people. People were fighting over them. They're now being resold online for like over $100. I mean, it's pretty, the fandom behind Starbucks and their actual like utensils is so fascinating to me because I don't collect those cups.
I don't either.
But some people are like really into it. But anyway, Starbucks has just released a new pink barista glass cup.
Love.
Yes. And this is for the World Cup that's happening. And I guess until supplies last, which is according until, they'll go on sale July 13th.
Oh, its hat is a soccer ball.
Yeah, like they're so cute, but like, is it worth like the money and the time to wait in line to get that?
Right, because people will wait in line for hours.
Right. For hours. I just have never been a line waiter like that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think about anything I've lined up to. And you know what I lined up to now that I'm thinking about it? Justin Bieber concert years ago at the Shot. And when you could buy like tickets.
Back when you bought tickets in person. Better way.
Yes, the better way, the way it should be. I remember lining up outside the Shot scene for that. But that's the only thing I can really recall lining up for.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be lining up for this bear drink, that's for sure.
I'm not a merch person. Like,
right.
I just have to have this thing. Also, I'm more of a Tim Hortons fan, which is some people, the Starbucks crowd.
You love Canada.
Crowd. I do. The Starbucks crowd, dedicated people. I am more on the Tim Hortons side because it's cheaper. Yeah. That's really my driving factor is the cost point. I mean,
Starbucks tastes like burnt coffee. It does. Oh. It's not any good. I mean, come on. They got to get it together.
Have you been to the like OG one in Pike, like the
Well, I went during
public market?
I went during like COVID, and it was all boarded up because they had people had broken
right,
into
because
it.
the riots and stuff.
It was
in
so
Seattle,
sad.
But,
So I saw it, boarded up.
oh,
Did you go and have the was it actually good?
I didn't actually go. Like I went, there was a heck of a line, and I was like, I'm gonna go to the one down the block.
Right. I've been to a Starbucks Reserve.
There's a photo.
Okay.
But
Period.
Starbucks Reserve.
Yes, that's where they have like drink cocktails and stuff.
Huh.
There's one in
Well,
Chicago.
We'll talk about that at another time.
Bye.